Hey guys, well this morning we're doing a section of mountain bike track that goes through the HUGO tunnel, and this is the Chamanois bridge. We'll just show you it goes over the Shotover. So we just missed the jet boat, famous Shotover jet boat here. They can come down to this point, just down below us, and then the Quora River jet boat, which is the yellow one, comes up. You may see a marker on the side of the river there. That's a demarked point. So the Quora River jet boat can only come up to that point. So there's about 150, 200 metres between the two jet boats. So obviously no collision. And look at this, isn't this iconic New Zealand? What's down there? Our woolly brethren. They're just free roaming. This is Queenstown. The houses up on that hill there probably started about $3 to $3.5 million. And then up the back there is the hills that run over to the famous Cardrona ski field, which is New Zealand's winter sport #1 signature premium ski field. They do the world snowboarding champs there as well. This is quite a gradient up here. So for the eagle-eyed of you, you'll see a trail on the other side. So that's number 8 trail going in. So that's on the opposing side of the Shotover. On the opposite side of the Shotover jet boat bridge. For those of you that know Queenstown will know that. That section of Queenstown's never ever been accessible. You'll see an old farmhouse over there. But that's quite exciting too. So they've got 2 sections about to open here in 2026. The first one's the Quora Gorge, which is going to be breathtaking, and that'll go from Queenstown through to Bannockburn. So at this point you can either go down here and take on the really steep zigzag on the other end of the HUGO tunnel, but we're going to carry on to Arthur's Point and do it the easier way. Even though we're on very, very high-end e-bikes, we're going to do it in the reverse, which is yeah, it's the one. You see the mountain bike track on the other side there in the clearing. That'll be quite something through there because there's a bit of everything. Not for the faint-hearted. There's some pretty steep drop-offs across there, but really common sense prevails on this trail. Right, we'll hit this big downhiller. This is the Shotover Gorge Trail. On this section, just this first 500 metres, there's 3 very, very tight hair turns, and they're very potentially able to put someone off their bike with drop-off. So don't be a hero. Drop your seat, get off your bike if you've got a seat dropper, or just get off your bike and walk around, which is what Bex has done. You all right? Here she comes. 3 tight turns, aren't they?
Yeah, I got off 2 of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's common sense.
It's not very nice when you've got someone on your...
So this is one of the great stops you can do on the on this section of the trail. So we're on the Alpine Point trail now, which is another new section that's just opened. And this is just down the bottom of famous Coronet Peak ski field. So it's been here well over 100 years. One of those early taverns built during the gold mining era. Huge amount of gold mining done around here. Just down the hill that we're heading to is the famous, world famous Shotover jet. This jet boat, of course, was invented in New Zealand in the late 50s, early 60s by Mr. Hamilton. And I'll just show the trail network as it stands as of March, April 2026. So we're on this section here. So we've done Tucker Beach, we've ridden this, and we're just on this section here now. So here's Arthur's Point. They've now opened this next section, which we're going to drop down onto, and we're going to ride down through the HUGO tunnel. Whoops, we'll get the view down a little bit there for you. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections, although they've extended some of these with different colours. They were previously one large extended section. So they're dropping in a new section just here to link this up, the Arthur's Trail, which will be quite something to ride. And they're also putting a trail on the opposite side that you would have seen, which is going to be linked up along through here. And then of course the next one is the trail from Gippsland out all the way out to Cromwell, Bannockburn, meets up with the Targa Rail Trail, and will eventually be able to ride all the way through to Dunedin Airport and Dunedin City once the Tyree Gorge Train Trust capitulates, which it's going to very soon. We're doing this one next week, should I say correction, in the next few weeks when we have friends coming down, the Coronet Loop. So we drive up the Skippers Road, so Coronet Peak's here, so we drive up this road here and we'll park at the top and we'll drop down this big downhill section and then get on to this backcountry trail. It's nothing like the Queenstown Trail. It's rough, but really well engineered and really well cut out and designed, but it's a lot more technical than the standard Queenstown Trail. But we're gifted. We have hundreds of people flying in here every week just to ride these trails, hundreds. Mountain biking is a massive growth area, especially with the advent of these new e-bikes. If I was the owners of this tavern, not forgetting I've owned a cafe bar previously for many years and I know what draws people in, I would be installing, and they're not expensive at all. You could probably get away with about $1,500 to $2,000. I'd be installing a recharge station here and putting a sign out the front stating that there's an e-bike recharge station, and putting in the 5 main e-bike chargers, and also allowing people to bring their own along. That would be a game changer for this, as well as claiming out the front with a sign, free Wi-Fi. You'd do very, very well, and that would be a win-win for everybody. So this is the tail end of Arthur's Point, guys. It's quite a rapidly developed region or area of Queenstown. You'll be paying around $1.8 to $2 million just for a 3-bedroom apartment down here in Bullendale. Once again, this has all been redone. This used to be called Nugget Point, so they've re-established all of that hotel. It's probably about 70 years old. This is part of the old gate. They may have left there for goodness knows whatever reason. But these villas here, very popular spot for the winter season, and a lot of investment going into the back of Bullendale. They're adding to it all the time. There's more going in down here. You won't get much change now from $2 million for a 3-bedroom. But look, to be honest, we were in Chamanois recently in France, and that is expensive, don't get me wrong, well beyond most people as a second investment property, but you'd be paying upward of 4 million New Zealand or Aussie dollars for the equivalent in France. It's just absolutely out of control. So that's the famous Shotover jet just down there, guys. They can transport around 900 passengers a day on a busy day. So we're now dropping down into the Gorge Trail, and we're going to go through the HUGO Tunnel. So this section of the trail only opened recently, just another new addition to what is a continually expanding network. We really do live the dream. I mean, it's a very expensive town to live in, one of the most expensive towns in the entire southern hemisphere. So Queenstown, Wanaka region is very highly sought after, but very expensive to get in. So medium house price here is sitting around 1.9 to 2 million for the average home. And when you compare it to the likes of Christchurch City or other regions around New Zealand, you can get into those regions for less than half that. So yeah, but we do live the dream. The lifestyle balance here is second to none. So quite hard to believe that you can be on an open, deserty section of trail and within 10 minutes you're in amongst all this forest. And then 10 minutes later we're dropping down onto a river, and then 10 minutes after that we're cycling through some old gold mining relics and region. when they talk about steep technical, it is very. So some of these corners are grade 4 and it's quite a steep incline. So a lot of this was flooded out recently. It was up to about waist high through this tunnel only about 6 weeks ago. Okay, so we'll just hit the button here. So, oh, it's been hit, the look of it. The light will probably go back out again as we cycle through here. But this is the HUGO tunnel. So this was carved out by hand in the late 1800s. When you push the light button in this tunnel, it lasts about 3 minutes. So I don't know if I filmed that just before, but it went pitch dark before we had another group that was able to activate the on button again. But yeah, old gold mine tunnel, HUGO tunnel out to the Shotover. Oh, there's a jet boat. And there's a on button halfway along as well, because it'll go off. You only got about 3 minutes to get through. So this section here, guys, is really steep. We're actually going to walk some of it. You can ride it. I've ridden it previously, but with my wife, and these are quite tight corners, and we're in no rush. This is not a race today, so we'll work our way up the zigzags, of which there's quite a few of them, and just take our time. It's better to come down this section than go up it, just the way we've gone. Okay, we're on and we're climbing. After all, that's what an e-bike's for. Just on auto mode here, on this beautiful Specialized Levo. You ride this during the working week and there's hardly anyone on it. Here's another really tight corner, so we'll hop off for this one as well. Actually, I rode around that one. Try this one. Yeah, they're not too tight. Even my wife's doing well. So the lower section down by the tunnel, those 4 corners are very, very tight. So don't be a hero if you're riding down. Just get off if you're not sure. And there is the magnificent Shotover. So in the late 1800s there was gold mining down here. Obviously this is a very, very rich river, one of the richest rivers in this part of the world, including Australia, and the river's quite low at the moment. So if you're a prospector, you want to play around down there and get your metal detector out and have a go. There's still gold in that river, and quite a lot of it. The government of New Zealand just won't let the vacuum systems and big dredges get in there any longer. A really nice undulation as we climb. So this is really e-bike terrain through here. It just makes it so easy to clamber up through these inclines. Obviously, being a Sunday weekend day, horrendously busy with visitors and tourists, but if you ride this through the working week, there's not that many people around. Just got to be very careful on the corners. They're quite tight and there's a lot of visitors to the area renting bikes and e-bikes, and a lot of them have never been on a trail like this in their lives, especially they come from Asia. So just be a bit wary. Seen a couple of decent accidents on this trail, not this particular section but other sections, where people just get swept up in the moment and they hit corners way too fast, and often on the wrong side as well. Just beautifully undulating up through here. You imagine why it's better to come down the section and go down the zigzags through the tunnel. So keep that in mind. It's my wife in front of us, just cruising. We've got plenty of battery power today. We're only riding about 30 to 35 kilometres. So we've just plugged in auto for these hill sections. And these bikes now delivering 105 to 110 newton meters of power with an 850, 900 watt hour battery. Sort of cheating really, but you can make it as hard as you want and dial down the power and work the heart rate, or dial it up and just sit back and enjoy the ride, as they say. So this summer particularly has been the busiest summer on record for inbound tourism, and as such these trails have had a lot of use, even given the fact one of the worst summers in history for bad weather. So we had huge amounts of rain, major damage, flooding, trees down, high winds. We even had our own e-bikes ripped off the roof of our car before summer in another one of the many storms we had coming through, hence why we're on these new bikes. So I just let my wife go ahead of me there. Yeah, the trails had a lot of use, which is really good to see. It really is an asset to the area. Unfortunately, a lot of locals get caught up in their own little rat wheel daily routine and don't get out to enjoy these gifted assets that the town has, whether it be mountain biking or hiking, walking, whatever it may be. People just get caught up in what they're doing and often forget what's right on their doorstep. So as we work our way back towards the Tucker Bridge, right, my wife stopped here. There's another new bridge that's just been put in recently. You know, used to have to cross down over this little ford here, but they're just adding to this all the time. Right, we'll go back into auto mode and we'll start to climb. Don't forget, once again, I'm with one hand. So, but this bike is very, very forgiving. It just climbs. You actually climb these inclines. This is 30, 35 degrees. Probably climb this at 18 kilometers an hour. Let's have a look at our speed here. There's 15.6. I'm not even trying. 16, one hand. Go back into eco. Don't need to though. Very close to home. Look at this land here. If I had land like that, I'd be leveraging it using a POP, P-O-P, which is a park over property, a totally legal use of private land that the bureaucrats and council and government can't steal tax from you. You can quite easily run it as a little backdoor income and have self-contained caravans and campers on your land. We're taxed on levels we've never been taxed before in this day and age, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse as these bureaucrats find various ways to strip more money out of our hard-earned back pocket. That is a fact. But yeah, POPs, P-O-Ps, if you've got any land that's just sitting there not being used, you've got worms growing, you're sitting on, you know, millions of dollars worth of dirt that you may have inherited from mum and dad, or you're just part of the property that's not being used, you may be running sheep on it or something, go into NZMCA, that's the New Zealand Motor Caravan Association website, and read up about a POP, P-O-P. We got a couple of friends in the greater North Island that have done just that. They've needed to leverage some extra income to service those absolutely diabolical, disgusting mortgage rates that we had this last 3 years, and they've had to service those extra interest charges, and they've gone and set up a POP on their subsequent land, and they've been able to channel extra income from. There's over 160,000 members of NZMCA, and those people are moving around the country needing a safe place to park up. And if you're fully self-contained certified, in other words green stickered here in New Zealand, you are not needing at all to put any services in, and therefore your local council can't put out their hand and start slapping you with, you know, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 charges to do this, to do that, or you must put a toilet in, you must run sewage, you must put power in, the usual shit you put up with when you walk into your local Nazi office these days. They're always there to try and strip some money out of you, regardless of what you try to do. So POP, P-O-P, that's what you want to do. If you have some spare land, just climbing this hill. We're probably in a gear too high, but these bikes just climb. Stunning. So you'd think that there's a road over there that you carry on. You don't, that's private road. We're going to drop down through the forest here. There's the beautiful Remarkables mountain that you've seen in a lot of my videos. We're going to drop down here to the right. My wife might have got lost again, but the sign says it all. So we're on the Tucker Beach section now. This is another trail that links up onto the Queenstown Trail proper, and nice little undulation section, follows alongside the beautiful Shotover River, and as we start heading back towards our start point, beautiful afternoon, very little wind, probably 22, 23 degrees Celsius, and this section doesn't get too many people on it. You just got to be careful with these cattle stops when they're wet, especially the ones that are on a slope, in other words on an angle. You hit those on the wrong angle and your wheels or your tyres aren't straight, you're going to come undone. So you need to approach those with a really good line. And I've seen that happen on this trail as well, where a bike's had its front tyre slide out from under it in wet weather. But look at the quality of this trail. So this is relatively synonymous to probably 90% of the trail. You've seen some of the tighter, more technical trail today, or a part of it, but the actual trail itself is so well engineered, and I've done an amazing job. So if you are thinking of coming to Queenstown, trust me, e-bike's the way to go. You just rent one if you want. We move our bikes around New Zealand, we send our batteries ahead of us, and therefore our bikes can be put into bike bags and checked through onto an aircraft because I don't have the battery on them. That's one way of doing it. Otherwise, just get to here and rent from one of the many e-bike rental companies. One of the most popular ones is out in Arrowtown, Arrow Bike Hire. really hiring from central Queenstown at the moment is a little bit of a joke, because the main trail along the lakefront up towards Frankton is closed. The council in its infinite wisdom have gone and closed that whole bike section while they bugger around putting, goodness knows what they're doing there, putting in piping, underground services, whatever. And that's the best trail from Queenstown out. So I wouldn't be mucking around with it. Hire your bikes from Arrowtown Bike Hire, alright? Take it from us, we're locals, we know. And from there you can choose one of 3 to 4 trails you can ride on. Choose the wineries to Gippsland. You can choose the beautiful Millbrook Trail out to what we've just ridden today. You can ride around Lake Hayes, beautiful Lake Hayes, one of the most photographed lakes in New Zealand. And without having to worry about the stress, the traffic, and the Muppet Show that is downtown Queenstown at this stage. There's another jet boat. You can see that. That's the Quora jet. That's the yellow jet. So that one starts, watch your right. So that one starts in Queenstown proper, right down on the Queenstown wharf. And that comes up the Quora River and then comes up the Shotover, which is this river just here, and meets up at that point that I just pointed out to you earlier, over the Shotover Bridge. So the yellow jet boat, quite a cool ride. The best jet boat in this whole region, bar none. It's undisputed as far as its beauty, length of ride, location. I would argue the best jet boat ride in the world, and that's saying something. You know, you sure feel the world's a big place, but the Dart River jet boat down in Paradise. Brad Pitt's just been there recently filming one of his latest movies, Heart of the Beast, in 2025. But that jet boat ride goes right up into Lord of the Rings area, so it goes right up into movie making country. Just change us down up the hill a little bit. The Dart River jet boat's the blue jet boat, alright? So they're all colour coded. So if you come into Queenstown and you're shopping for a jet boat experience and you got a little bit more money to spend, you will not get better than the Dart River, right? And you can also do the fun yak after the fact, so they'll take you up around 20 kilometres up this magical, pristine, unspoilt, unruined river section, right up into the Southern Alps, only accessible by boat. No roads up through there, no building, no human impact, no destruction, no damage that us humans are typically known for. But yeah, the best jet boat ride bar none. So the Dart River jet boat. So I'm about to say goodbye to you all. We're just dropping down onto the Twin Rivers Trail now. So if you've been counting the different trails we've ridden, this is the 4th we've been on. Let my wife go ahead of me there. And we're about to cross over the historic stagecoach bridge that was built here in the late 1800s to bring stock, supplies, etc. across this river in the earlier days, before obviously a sealed road and the motor car was even in place. And this is also part of the world famous, what is known as one of the most scenic international marathons on the planet, and you can understand why. There's a main road just there, and that's where we've just ridden up around the famous Shotover. But yeah, this is part of the international marathon, so both the 21k and the full marathon run across this bridge, of which my wife and I volunteer our time almost every year. Well, we have done for the last 5-6 years. Me as a Lake Hayes martial leader, I look after a group of marshals. Always a good event. So we'll just have another quick look at the trail map again. Give you an idea. Just freeze that photo, that video. That gives you an idea how well we're set up. This is Phil.